On the program, we delve into the pressing issue of youth employment in Nigeria and the strategies for job creation. With millions of Nigerians entering the workforce yearly, how can the government and private sector collaborate to provide sustainable employment opportunities? And to shed more light on how government can address youth unemployment is a development economist and financial expert, Kolaole Kehinde. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here once again. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, the rest of the world.
So with that prior report, what are the primary factors contributing to youth unemployment, particularly here in Nigeria?
Youth unemployment in Nigeria, it's a combination of so many factors. You know that while some advanced countries are witnessing declining birth rates, Nigeria and some countries in sub-Saharan Africa are witnessing explosive birth rates. When you put that together, you know that it's just a matter of time. That means more people, more children are being given birth to in Nigeria than in some parts of the world, like let's say in the UK. And that means that there will be more people that are growing towards that level. About a third of the Nigerian population is between the age of 1 and 24. And you could, in the next 20 years, you know that it could increase to about 40% of the Nigerian population. What that means is if there are no infrastructure, if jobs, there are no formal jobs, and we know the current administration making frantic efforts to ensure that they expand the formal sector. But there needs to be a lot to do about the informal sector. So one of the things that the challenge of youth employment is that there are very few jobs available for the youths, one, in the formal sector as well as in the informal sector.
So now talking about formal and informal, can we see our educational system prepares youth of today for the job market?
You will, if you've been following the educational sector, about 3 months or so, we had a review of the school curriculum, and that was really widely accepted by experts and policy analysts all over the nation, because we discovered that most of the programs, courses that we find in a university have become obsolete. And we also discovered that if we want to industrialize the Nigerian people, the Nigerian economy, it's important that we relook at our curriculum, which we have already done, and try to put some programs that will help youth develop competent, relevant, and future-ready skills going forward. Currently, our Nigerian educational system is going through a transition, and we hope that over the next decade, we can be able to create a quantum number of jobs from this policy shift that the Nigerian government has embarked on. Apart from that, I also believe strongly that the private sector is also expanding exponentially, especially the creative and, of course, the service sector. We hope that this will create also more jobs for youths, and basically we need to start looking at how youths are very much sucked into the digital technology and digital economy.
So with the curriculum upgrade you mentioned, what reforms are needed in Nigeria's educational system and at a broader level to equip youths with relevant jobs needed? And how do we implement those reforms?
The reforms are ongoing, as I rightly mentioned. The first is looking at the curriculum, which is the most foundational. When you look at the curriculum, you see how relevant it is to the realities of the market. I know that about a decade ago, most people in the private sector, most employers in the private sector will say that Nigerian youths are unemployable, and because the kind of courses or studies or knowledge they get is not what is really needed in the market. You see a computer science student that never got to interface with a computer and now is at the computer engineering firm, and he doesn't have a clue of what he needs to do. And that cuts across so many industries, so many sectors. But now we are ensuring that the Nigerian government is ensuring that they do digital first. Digital first. That means leveraging technology. But we have a challenge with technology, energy, paucity of energy, paucity of infrastructure, and the dwindling revenue that are coming into the government coffers, at least from the reports that you made earlier on, you've seen that we had revenue leakage. And, you know, this have a cause and effect on what is available for education. If you look at the budgets for education in 2026, it still doesn't meet the UNESCO benchmark of 15%. And of course, that means that a whole lot still needs to be done. As I was coming today, I heard that the federal government has also made an embargo on the creation of universities. As at last year, about 33 universities were created. What that means is that the number of students willing to even go to private or public tertiary education is much more higher than the number of tertiary educations that are available in the country. Now, it's not also a question of availability. It's a question of sustainability in terms of creating the right resources, bringing the right resources, putting the right manpower in terms of lecturers, putting the right resources, equipment, facilities, and making sure that these places are habitable and are conducive for learning. There is still a whole lot that the government is trying to do. Another thing the government has done is to revamp the TVET, that means Tertiary Vocational and Educational Technology. And I think one of the programs the government also embarked when they started was the 3MTT. I don't know whether we're creating 3 million tech jobs over a period of years. And if the government sustains some of these programs, I think one will be able to develop digital skills, because the youths actually need digital skills. That's important. That means they will work without boundaries, and that is what the world is tilting to now. Currently, 90% of the youths run the hustle economy. You know, the hustle economy that is run within the social media and all of those things. And well, it has its pros. There are so many cons to it too. So the government should look at how to balance and also provide support that will make youths employable, and that will create jobs for youths to get into.
So we're being hopeful and then looking into the future. What are the barriers to starting a business?
The ease of doing business in Nigeria, well, it's getting much more easier. One, of course, business structuring. The first is you want to know where you want to play. Are you going to play as a business name, as a limited? Are you going to go into a partnership? And all of those things. Those are fundamental to know. Then what kind of business do you want to get involved with? Do you have mentors, coaches? Do you have access to finance, access to markets? How are you going to be competitive? These are the issues that are there for businesses. Of course, access to finance is one of the challenges of SMEs, but away from access to finance, I think capacity itself and meeting market needs at the right price. I think these are some fundamentals that we need to look at. We don't have to forget the fact that we still have and low production of energy. Energy at 5,000, 7,000 megawatts will not take us anywhere.
That's true.
We should be looking at 20,000 megawatts, and you know that's quite ambitious. But I know that the government should currently doing that. You see that the decentralization of power generation, that means states can generate their power. It will also, we hope, will create a pivot to dependence on government, the federal government, to do all of these things. I think now that the states have more resources, they should also prioritize the intervention that they need to develop for their youths. because you also mentioned the World Bank is talking about migration. There's going to be migration because there will be migration from high populated area to low populated area. Young people are still going to migrate to where the population are declining. I'm talking about Japan, even in China, talking about Europe. You will not run away from it, but it is important that while we're doing that, we don't also cause brain drain. You know that a lot of expats have left the shores of Nigeria, and some of them are not bringing those learning, that technology, and even funding back to the country. So while we are suffering brain drain, we also have to look at how we can also turn it to brain gain. And these are the things the government needs to look at.
I think I love that. Thank you for breaking this down for us, Mr.